And so...
It was a discerning time from the point, Stephen, in our old studio that we even, for many months, were looking over our shoulders walking in, and we kept the door locked.
We kept the door locked,
which we had an open door policy for many years. It got to the point where there was running into the week we shut it down, or you shut it down. We knew it was going to happen. It got to the point where you didn't even want to open your front door at home. The girls, your stepdaughters, were getting threatened. I mean, there was a myriad of things happening. We shut the show down. Take us through that moment when we decided to shut the show down, and then the following week, we did get some comedy relief with me shouting at you on the phone, and we had many conversations about what could happen, and it broke the ice a little bit for us, and we tried to revamp it. Take us through the actual process in your mind the night before, when you know this is it, World Soccer Daily is going to finish.
The Thursday that I made the decision that it was over, a couple of different things happened. Number one, a friend of ours, Alison, got an email that she didn't understand. It was from, and it referenced Liverpool and her friendship with me and my wife. One of my stepdaughters was threatened on Facebook. And at one point on that Thursday afternoon, I was at home. I just got married. And the doorbell rang. And I come around the corner of the hallway, and as I approach the door, I start to wonder to myself, for the very first time, hadn't happened before, I start to wonder who might be on the other side of that door. Because there's no question, they've posted my address and who I am and where I am. And it was in that moment I realized that World Soccer Daily had to go. There was our friend Alison, there was the eldest stepdaughter, and then I was literally in fear for my life. As it turned out, it was some guy trying to get me to sign some healthcare petition or whatever. But it wasn't the point. The point was that I was living in fear of my life. And when Gillian got home, I remember saying, "It's over. I can't do it anymore. I'm living in utter fear for my life, and now for your life." And I made the decision. I told you. I emailed Steve Cohen at Sirius and said, "It's over." And I think, to be honest with you, by the way, I should also mention that June I'd had my annual lunch with Dermot, and he had told me that I wasn't coming back on the TV show. And it was interesting what he said to me in that lunch. And he goes, "It's not really about the Liverpool thing." He goes, "But what was that brother this and brother that?" He was talking about brother Jackie and brother Mel and stuff like that. And he was a Celtic fan. So, you know that the Celtic fans had globbed on to what Liverpool fans were doing. So, all in all, I had to end it. And so we did the next morning.
And we did, and it was an emotional day. A really emotional day, especially from the fans' perspective, because it was an absolute... They came in, they had no idea what was really going to happen.
And by the way, I should also mention that I think it was a great, great relief to Sirius, because I had started to talk to Sirius about renewing our deal for 2010. This was now late August, and I knew they were getting a lot of emails. The point was that we were running a business, and we were running a business that would be going into a World Cup year.
Exactly,
and I knew that they were pushing me off and pushing me off and pushing me off about signing a new deal or talking about a new deal. So I think that I don't think they were going to renew us at the end of the year anyway. But in the end, I made the decision for them.
Okay, so we pulled the plug on a very emotional day. It was a long show, a lot of callers, a lot of crying, a lot of love thrown our way. You go home that day, and you sit down, you realise truly, okay, maybe I've stopped the bleeding as such. Hopefully this stops the bleeding. Your emotions that day, knowing that your broadcasting career potentially was over that day, or was over.
I wasn't really looking at it from the perspective of my broadcasting career. It was, within an hour, I think, of us saying on the air that we were going off the air, they put an end to their boycott. We got some choice emails about Scousers 1, Jews 0. I mean, just some of the absolute disgraceful and vile stuff. But it almost stopped instantaneously, and so I don't know that I was thinking really about what I was going to do next. The problem I had more so was that I felt that I was tarnished. That I'd done this for 7 years, and that my career, my reputation as being a pioneer in the game, or broadcasting of the game, that my career had been tarnished. And so I was more concerned about that than the broadcasting career, and I was also more concerned about my family being safe. And I think it was the following Tuesday when you called me and said, what are you going to do? Let's do it, let's do it up again. Of course, when we decided to do that, by the way, of course, they all re-emerged on the message boards saying claiming that, oh, you see, he was just trying to do, he didn't really mean it. It was nothing. Nothing to do with his family. Right. Blah blah blah. But the point was, and I think it's an important thing to make when we decided to establish World Football Daily, was we had to, if we were going to do it, we had to establish it in a format of a business that they couldn't attack.
That we would be protected.
Correct. We needed to do it without the need for advertisers that they couldn't attack. If they wanted to go after every single one of the subscribers, then each one of the subscribers would make their own individual choice. Yeah. But
the only issue that we had in hindsight to collect the audience that we had on Sirius was the exact same thing that happened many years prior on 1150 when we went off the air. Had we already had this idea, which I envisaged, we could have went on the air and said, and by the way, here's where we're going to be.
Yeah,
but that was not even in the game plan.
There were other things in the front of my mind, and when I made the decision on that Thursday night, and we came in and did the show on the Friday, from my perspective, it was over. I mean, I was going to go find something else to do. I had no idea what it was going to be, but there was going to be something else. So,
and along came World Football Daily.
Yeah.
If we could just, and a couple of more questions before we wrap up here, Stephen, on what I said earlier was a sad day today. Some of your great moments, remember some of the moments, some of the great guests, because the guest list we have built over the years, certainly you've built, you and I have built, is second to none. That's not blowing our own trumpet. We have the best guest list out there. Other people have lived off it consequently since, but we feel proud that we built that guest list. Some of the greater guests that you've had and some of the people that you've had the privilege of talking to. The list is endless. Vickery, Tyler, Dermot Gallagher, Graham Poll. We brought a lot of people to North America, but some of your favourites.
Well, I think you mentioned them. I mean, Graham Hunter, Tim Vickery. I mean, they may be journalists, but I think these are guys I'd love to,
I guess. With.
Exactly. Non-alcoholic for me at the moment, but I mean, I think that's exactly the point. Does it feel like a guest, or does it feel like having a chat with a mate? And
is that not full proof of the way the questions are presented and the platform we gave them, the comfortability to open them up? Because we used to get many emails where people would say, "You see me open these. I hear these guys on other things, but you see me open them up in a different fashion." Would that be right?
I think that's right. I mean, we used to get an awful lot from PR people that said, "You got 5 minutes," and we get 25 minutes or a bit longer. I always thought that the best people we had on were people like Neil Ashton, like Graham Hunter, like Andy Brissell, like
Tim Vickery,
Tim
Vickery.
Gallagher, but I'll take an Alex McLeish, take a Harry Redknapp when we said we were told we were going to get 10 minutes and we got 25.
And the thing with the Alex McLeish interview, Stephen, was we lost contact
3 times.
Three times, and he was absolutely waiting for us on the phone, as was Roberto Martinez, Pim Verbeek. I mean, we had so many great managers at the time, and of course going through the World Cup at the time. But some of the other great guests, or any other great moment you want to focus on?
Well, I mean, there are so many. There really are so many, and I can go back to World Soccer Weekly and the interview Gieber and I did with Sepp Blatter. It's still amongst one of my favourites for how non-comical it was, and then the interview with Don Garber a couple of days later and how comical that was. One was the commissioner of MLS, one was the president of FIFA, one was me and Gieber in a room with the president of FIFA asking whatever we wanted. 5 days later we were in a suite at the Home Depot Centre talking to Don Garber, the commissioner of MLS, with 5 minders and being told when to move on. Interviewing Lampard and Terry and some of the players we've done. But I think if I had to get down to it, it's the Vickerys, it's the Hunters, it's the Graham Polls, it's the Dermot Gallaghers, it's the Neil Ashtons, it's the guys who came on regularly, who really supported this show. Paddy Barclay was fantastic. Henry Winter was fantastic when he came on. There were so many that we just enjoyed talking to. Some had great content but didn't have great delivery. Some had great delivery and very little to say. It's been a complete and utter smorgasbord of what you've done. Look, there are times when you come in and do the show and you get up at the end of the show and you go, wow, that was a good one. And there are other times where you pick up your briefcase and you go, I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. I concur. In 18 months on, we've had some great success with this. You've decided that after 9 years, it's time to move on, and it is time for you to move on. I could see how one could be exhausted emotionally after 9 years.
Well, let me back up a little bit. I said it as I was ending today, and I think it's important to make the point. The Liverpool boycott scarred me. It scared me and it scarred me. Their final piece de resistance was when they went to Chelsea, a team that I'd supported for 42, 43, 44 years, and got them to publicly condemn me. When I realised, and there was a delayed reaction with this because that happened sometime in 2009. I remember in February 2010 watching Chelsea get beat by Manchester City 4-2, watching it at home and not feeling anything. And not feeling anything. People thought I was doing this as hype, or it was just a PR stunt. But usually Chelsea going in the title hunt, going at Stamford Bridge, getting beat 4-2 would send me into a tizzy and ruin my weekend. I didn't care. Turned the TV off, went about my business. Conversely, a couple of weeks later, they went up to Old Trafford and won 2-1. And I didn't care. And I realised that the love affair was over. And once the love affair was over with my club, I just couldn't support them anymore after what they did, after they publicly humiliated me and condemned me. The joy of the game took its toll. Because while I've globbed onto Barcelona because they play such beautiful football, I don't have an historical emotional attachment to Barcelona. So that is all figured into it, because it's almost like, why? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? Because at the heart of it is to pump your team, to love your team, to hate the other team, and what I've learned, and maybe I've just gone soft, but I am tired of the hatred in the game, in all its forms, in every way.